This is Binghamton Now on News Radio 1290 WNBF Binghamton and WNBF.com.
I'm Bob Joseph. Today is Thursday, September 5th, 2024. Good morning, class. Welcome back. I hope you had a great summer. Now, it's time to learn a few things. Our number is 607-772-1290. This is Binghamton Now. WNBF. Educational radio for the masses. Available to a potential student body of nearly 8 billion people on planet Earth. Thanks to the free WNBF app. And you can also listen to us on radio, frequency modulation, 92.1 FM, amplitude modulation, 1290 AM, online, WNBF.com. However you listen to us, we welcome you. I trust that you're having a good morning so far. Did you get the kids, the grandchildren off to school on time? Did you drop them off, or did you at least walk them to the bus stop? The big yellow school bus. I was driving around this morning on my way to the luxurious WNBF broadcast studios, and I was driving for a few minutes, and I thought school was open. I thought to myself, where are the buses? Certainly there are buses, and then as soon as I thought that, I saw three buses, and I was okay. All right. It's just weird going 2 or 3 minutes knowing school was back in session and not seeing any school buses. But ultimately, I wound up seeing quite a few. Looked like everybody was in fine spirits. And I hope you're in fine spirits, too. We've got plenty to talk about today. Of course, we focus on Pennsylvania, the most important state in our great nation. Yes, there are 49 other states, but at this point, the only state that makes a difference is Pennsylvania. You have a friend in Pennsylvania. And if you enjoy politics, you're going to see the candidates in Pennsylvania. Probably more time that'll be spent between now and November 5th, so the next 2 months, the candidates will spend more time in the Keystone State than anywhere else because it's just that important. The road to the White House runs through Susquehanna. So good luck to all the candidates. We, of course, wish them well in their future endeavors. Can't be a candidate forever. Of course, there will be a winner and there will be a loser. So we wish both the winner and the loser the best in all their future endeavors. As far as New York State, well, I think you know how the vote will go in New York State. Everybody knows how New York will vote. It's the one thing, not necessarily good from a news standpoint, but at least for people who are political experts, I think they are very happy that they never have to worry about New York being in play. It's not good, though, for broadcasters in New York. I heard a news report today that one campaign, I won't mention the name to protect their privacy, one major presidential campaign has already booked $70 million worth of TV commercials in Pennsylvania. According to that report, that's more money allocated to TV advertising than all the other states combined. So that shows you why Pennsylvania is the most important state. Candidates ought to just move to Pennsylvania, stay in Pennsylvania for the next 61 days. Have a big campaign complex near Great Bend. It's 9:15 at WNBF. Jolly good morning to you. Of course, life isn't only about politics. It's mostly about politics, of course, and we'll keep you posted as urgent developments happen. Looking at WNBF.com, one of the more intriguing stories is this guy driving his pickup truck over a car with two people in it. Now, I'm sure this happens from time to time around the world. It's just on any given day in this country or in other countries, you don't really see pickup trucks perched on top of cars. But according to the investigators, that's what this 35-year-old man did. Apparently, somebody was driving on his road. He thinks it's his road. So somebody was driving on his road at about 1:30 in the morning, and so he doesn't apparently like people driving on his road. According to a news release, the guy, the 35-year-old Broome County resident, told the authorities he was sick of repeated crime in the area. And not only that, not only was he sick of repeated crime in the area, but he was also apparently fed up with people parking their vehicles on his road. Well, going to avoid that road. Where is that? Bizarro Boulevard, Whitney Point, near the convenience store. So that's what happened. That's according to the report, of course. He is presumed innocent unless and until he is convicted of anything in the court of law. But unfortunately, no injuries were reported. Appreciate the law enforcement sending a photo. It's one of those stories. This is truly one of those stories where a picture is worth at least 129 words. You look at that photo and you say to yourself, what? Even if you are mad about crime, even if you're disturbed and outraged and sick of repeated crime in the area, I think some of our listeners are sick of repeated crime in the area. I know some callers have expressed that view, and some people may, in fact, be disappointed or even outraged that people park their vehicles on their road, but there are better ways to deal with these issues. The guy who was alleged to be operating the 1998 GMC pickup truck has been charged with felonies, reckless endangerment, and assault, also cited for several traffic violations, and issued an appearance ticket because, of course, under New York law, apparently you can be accused of driving your pickup truck onto a car because you're sick of repeated crime in the area and tired of people driving on your road. But under New York state law, that's worth an appearance ticket. So he'll have an opportunity to explain the matter before a judge later this month in the town of Triangle Court. It's 9:19 at News Radio, WNBF. You can see the full story along with the visual evidence. I'll call it Exhibit A, with a photo provided by the law enforcement investigators. You can judge for yourself. WNBF.com. 607-772-1290. Please drive safely. Please don't drive your pickup truck onto cars occupied by people. This is 92.1 FM, 1290 AM, streaming at WNBF.com. I'm Bob Joseph. You're listening to Binghamton Now. Binghamton Now on a Thursday morning, a wondrous day in the Parlor City. Some kind of wonderful. Let's do the weather forecast for those who are concerned. Sunny today, 77. Clear tonight, 54. Patchy fog early tomorrow morning, otherwise mostly sunny. Tomorrow's high, 77. The weekend, kind of mixed. If I were planning something fun on the weekend outdoors, I would schedule it for Sunday. Saturday, showers and thunderstorms. Thunderstorms maybe in the afternoon, high 69. Sunday, nice, mostly sunny, high 65. Right now, 56 in downtown Binghamton, 13 Celsius. Air quality is good for those who breathe. The air quality index in Binghamton is 38. They say that's good. Breathe away. 924 at WNBF, the mailbag. Thank you to the Postal Service for providing our no, it's not the Postal Service. Thank you to whoever who provides our email. Thank you. It's not the Postal Service. Imagine if the Postal Service had gotten into the business of email. By now, we would be paying thousands and thousands of dollars a month in email bills. So fortunately, they left it up to private enterprise, and we only have to pay hundreds of dollars a month now for our internet. Here's a message from Tommy in Binghamton. Topic: candidates for Congress. After listening to the candidates and incumbents, I respond by saying, hey, look, over here, shiny object. We did speak with Republican Mark Molinaro on Wednesday's program. Tommy's note says, I didn't hear any discussion about flood resiliency, climate effects, wildfire air pollution, water quality and accessibility, transportation, infrastructure, etc., all of which are in federal purview. Instead, we got more of the same about migrants and border control, blah, blah, blah. Thanks for listening. Signed, Tommy. Thank you, Tommy in Binghamton. Blah, blah, blah. Well, you could probably attribute some of the blah, blah, blobbage to the guy who was conducting the interview, to be honest. What are they doing now? Support journalism at a special price. Okay. Continue listening to WNBF and WNBF.com as you support journalism. Our special price, free. Do it for our community. Staying in the know of all things local keeps you connected to your community. So stay with News Radio WNBF. For journalism, for locals, by locals. Plus, there are awesome perks we bet you're missing. This is not from WNBF. This is from another media enterprise. Apparently somebody finally got the courage to pull the plug on their membership in some media organization, and now they're offering some sort of promotional rate for you to come back for a business that's been busy. At the same time that they're talking about beefing up local journalism, I mean, I'm not going to mention the name. I'll just say today's evidence. Just look at today's evidence. If they're interested in beefing up local journalism, well, maybe we could see some timely, original local reporting. Maybe you could open up a newsroom. They're talking about journalism for locals by locals, and they don't have a newsroom. Now, some would say, well, in 2024, Bob, there is absolutely no reason for a media organization to have a newsroom. Well, it's true, you can do it. Many are, but just because you can do it doesn't mean you should. So unbeatable stories on and off the field. On and off the field. Come back today for journalism for locals by locals. And that's another thing. I've never enjoyed hearing that phrase, locals. started to, I think, infiltrate news stories a decade or so ago. Instead of community residents or people who live in the neighborhood, locals. And I think it started first maybe on TV, maybe radio, but now apparently come back today for journalism for your friends, your neighbors, and fellow patriots. No, it's for locals, by locals. Anyway, wish them well. Hope they follow through. I wish they were able to talk about their plans. Unfortunately, they've muzzled the local people who are locals, ostensibly reporting for locals. They're not allowed to talk. Remember, there was a time not that long ago when the people in charge and even some of the journalists were allowed to come on this program. But no more. It's 9:29 WNBF. Let's see what else is going on here. Here's a hospital celebrating Women in Medicine Month. Hope we get a cake. Let's see what else here. Scarecrow contest and display event. Thank you. Global experts convene to discuss clean energy in New York. Okay. See, this is the type of stuff I have to plow through. Oh, Tish James, the Attorney General, protecting you from AI-created election misinformation. There's a hopeless cause. What else do I have here? Of course, the other thing is a lot, not all, but a lot of my email, my inbox is infused or filled, not infused, it's filled with what some people would call propaganda. Oh, hi. Welcome to my world.
You got new glasses?
What's that?
New lenses?
Yeah, well, I keep losing these glasses. I keep losing them. Well, it's, it's tough to keep track. I got to put one of those little air trackers on. Yeah. Wait, hold on a second here.
Oh, right. What do you want to see?
I don't know. Wait, hold on. Try that one. Ooh. Yeah, don't break anything.
Yeah, I'll try not to do it. How's that?
Yes, sounds pretty good. Remember, you're on the air, so choose your...
I am currently on the air?
You are. Yeah, right now, this is the only thing on NBF.
Oh, okay.
That's why everybody's listening to the Hawk. They're like, what? They're doing microphone testing and adjustments on NBF. Let's listen to the Hawk and see what Glenn and Tracy are up
My
to.
apologies.
Maybe. No, that's okay. Sign in, please.
Celeste Aylesworth from Chow.
Yeah, welcome. Any late-breaking Chow development? By the way, this will not cut into your official time. We're still getting set up. But any late-breaking Chow developments that we need to know about? Late-breaking, like shocking.
Nothing late-breaking, shocking.
Okay.
No.
Okay. That's the important thing. Okay. I know See, our listeners may not realize it. Our studio, due to security reasons, is an underground bunker. We're under probably hundreds of tons of concrete, steel, and glass. So I rely on guests from the outside world to provide
tell you what's going on.
Real-time weather updates. Well, do you see any? I know. This is a good journalism question. Do you see any heavy police presence anywhere in downtown Binghamton?
I did not.
Thank you.
No, that's good.
Good. I hope they maintain that at least till 12:05, because I can't go out and cover breaking news while I'm doing the show. All right, that's good. So there is no heavy police presence here in downtown Binghamton that we're aware of.
That we're aware of.
Right.
Not between here and,
South
Chow.
Side?
Yeah, here in the South Side. Nothing that I saw on Court Street.
Right. What way did you come in? Tompkins Street or over Exchange Street?
Across Tompkins and down Court.
All right. That's the way I would go, too. Yep. Did they ever finish that construction over there on Court Street to the east of Tompkins? Are those guys still working on the flood wall?
Yeah. Yep, still working on it.
Good. Which is good, because the next flood isn't scheduled for another 10 days. I hope they wrap up.
Well, yeah. I mean, the next once-in-a-lifetime flood is coming.
Because we always have the best floods in September.
We do. I mean,
2011, September. It's almost, we're almost observing.
Yeah, it was the first day of school.
Yeah.
I believe.
Yeah, it was. I think it was September 7th.
Yeah.
Everything started so swimmingly, and then I remember, I remember I was working early that day, and so I got home a little bit after noon just in time to see my house float away. But, I don't hold grudges. It's like, that's why we have FEMA.
You always wanted to move, but you didn't imagine it would be that way.
No, but it's, that helps. For people like me who are sometimes indecisive, sometimes that helps you.
Indeed.
Moves the issue forward.
That's right.
Call the police. Hey, follow that house. It's going down the Susquehanna. And they're like, well, why don't you call your friends in Baltimore? Maybe.
I was going to say, you always want to move to the Chesapeake Bay.
Yep. Anyway, so let's see. So the big flood was 13 years ago.
You're right.
2011.
It was.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, that means we're not due for another 5,000-year flood until at least...
Well, the one that was in 2006 was the previous once-in-a-lifetime flood, once every 100-year flood.
Yeah, and that was bad enough where they had to evacuate Lourdes Hospital on Riverside Drive.
Yeah.
I remember because I was living at the time before my other house floated away. Back then, for the 2006 flood, I was living on Riverside Drive, and I'm looking, because the hospital was very close to where I was living, and I'm thinking, it doesn't look good, because they're bringing in, like, the afternoon before the rain started, they've got dozens, if not hundreds of trucks coming in and trying to build some sort of protective thing, because they knew
it was coming.
Yeah, and I guess that's perhaps one of the few good things about flood issues is that usually there's some kind of advance warning. Mm-hmm. But, it got so bad. They were bringing in all these trucks. I'm saying, now I'm starting to get scared. I mean,
can't be good.
Riverside Drive, I guess that's how it got its name. Riverside Drive. Funny. But, the fun thing, well, it wasn't fun, but there was cooperation from area agencies because I believe, if I recall correctly, many, maybe all, of the patients at the hospital were relocated as a precaution because they didn't know how bad it would get. The other thing, though, that emerged from the 2006 flood was it gave area officials, Lourdes Hospital, and local and state officials enough warning that the hospital's vulnerable. So thanks to state aid, they were able to build the protective system around the hospital. So thankfully that was completed by the time the September 2011 flood happened, because if that had not been in place, it's very possible there would have been catastrophic damage to the hospital.
There may not be a hospital there today.
But there is. And I'm glad, I'll tell you one thing, parenthetically, I'm glad the hospital's still there because it's very, very close to my heart. That's where I was born. When I was born at 5:29 in the morning, my mom, of course, she was proud and relieved. And then the doctor, for some reason, inexplicably, the doctor goes, bam! Gives me a slap. And then I said, "What'd you do that for?"
Yeah.
He said, "Well, that's what we do. Get your system going. Don't take it personally. It's just part of our procedure." And since then, everything has gone well.
Yeah, well, I'm glad they did that.
The hospital's still there. It's like, they may rename it, they may rebrand it, but I still have those pleasant memories from 5:29 in the morning.
I was born at Ideal Hospital,
600 High Avenue. There's another place. When I was a kid growing up, we actually lived about a block from Ideal Hospital.
Really?
You remember when they used to have the hill on the side before they built the senior housing facility? That hill, we called it Hospital Hill. My siblings and I, we were smart. We called it Hospital Hill. And we would take our dog up for a walk. We could play with our dog at the hill. Of course, it's no longer there because they built the new senior housing facility, but there's a beautiful neighborhood. I know some people who still live in the neighborhood. It's still a great place.
Yeah, my mom was actually born in that hospital.
Really?
She was born in 1940.
Yeah.
Been there a long time.
One of my sisters was born there. So, and actually, the only time I've ever been hospitalized was at Ideal Hospital.
Interesting.
And the thing that stands out, and this is good because we'll talk about food today, the only thing I really remember about my brief hospitalization at Ideal Hospital decades ago they brought in breakfast, and whatever they were trying to pass off as scrambled eggs, it didn't cut it. And trust me, I desperately tried to consume the scrambled eggs. It didn't work. We'll just say, thankfully, there was no video.
How old were you?
Say maybe about 10 or 11.
Okay, so you had experience with school lunches at that point.
Oh, yeah. No, school lunches back in the day weren't necessarily that good, but compared to school food, I'm not sure. They must have, maybe it was just a bad day.
Might have been.
Maybe it was a substitute chef. Anyway, we'll talk about chow in a moment. It would be funny if we spent the whole time talking about this show reminds me so much of Seinfeld, a show about nothing sometimes. It's like, wait, you just spent the last 11 minutes talking about nothing.
It's a stream of consciousness show.
And people are saying, well, why did Les Aylesworth come in? I don't know, but we ran out of time. I guess we'll book him again for next Thursday and see if we can stay focused. Hey, that's the beauty of live radio. And that'll teach him a lesson, because unlike, say, the TV station up there at Carpathian Hill or the other fine TV stations up on Ingram Hill or on the Vestal Parkway, they actually have sprung for teleprompters, and that helps keep their interviewers on track, as opposed to here, where they claim there's no money in the budget for a teleprompter, and so you get this kind of broadcast catastrophe. Or entertainment.
That's the other way to look at it. What's more fun than...
Well, that's right. Because in this AI era, the next time you come in, I'll be replaced by AI, so you'll still be standing where the microphone is, but all the questions will be in my voice, but they'll be generated by an AI program, and people say, well, that was so much better than the September visit when Bob was all over the place.
Well, I could be an AI as well, in which case it would be perfect, I suppose.
Better than perfect.
We'd be in the Matrix.
Yeah, and people would say, man, they packed a lot of information into that 2.5 minute segment. It was broadcast perfection. Stand by. We'll be talking more about chow in a moment here on Binghamton Now on WNBF. Les Aylesworth from Chow is with us in the studio. It turns out we do have time to talk about an upcoming event.
Wonderful.
I just checked. I checked with our producers. The executive producer, she says we have plenty of time. So there is an upcoming event, and that's why you're here.
That's why I'm here.
All right. Well, tell us what's going to be happening with the annual Chow Hunger Walk.
That is right. On Saturday, September 21st from 12 to 4 at the Oakdale Commons, we are having our 42nd annual Chow Hunger Walk.
It doesn't seem possible.
41st. 42nd.
42nd. It doesn't seem possible. It seems like it just started a decade ago.
I know. I know.
It's remarkable. For people not familiar, first, sometimes I think we presume everybody knows about Chow, the Community Hunger Outreach Warehouse. But for those who aren't familiar with Chow and its mission and a little bit of its history, give a brief overview.
Yeah, so Chow has evolved into basically a local/regional food bank. And we work with over 115 different emergency food programs, supplying them food at no cost. And so that's what we've been doing since its inception in 1976, providing food to the community through community partners at no cost. What began in 76 as basically a storage closet to help a few pantries to store food has grown into what we are today. A fleet of trucks, staff, warehouse, and all with the same mission to stop hunger, which is our logo, a stop sign.
How have things changed over the years? I mean, obviously, the basic mission has remained the same, but there have been adjustments and enhancements in the way Chow serves our region.
Yeah, I mean, since I've been there, which I started right before the pandemic, it's hard to even know what it was like before the pandemic in some ways. But probably the biggest thing that happened before me was the change with where we get our food, predominantly where we get our food. Where in the past, most of the food was probably donated through like food drives. We have a lot of blue barrels where you'll still see them in the community. A lot of food drives where a lot of food came in. Then there would be some minimal purchasing, but then we began picking up food, it's called salvage food or recovered food, food that's, as I affectionately call it, it's past its sell-by date, but not past its use date, from local grocery stores and distributors and places like that, restaurants, dining halls. And that has shifted, so that's where we get the preponderance of our food is actually recovered food. So probably 80% of the food we distribute is that kind of food. And so we are, and we still do the food drives, but we also had to purchase a lot more food too to keep those staples on the shelf.
There also has been an effort to deal specifically with some emerging changes. I mean, we've got now in various parts of Broome County areas that now essentially are considered food deserts. I mean, most recently with the closing of the Wise store at 307 Conklin Avenue on the south side, and some of the other spots where easy access to healthy food is just no longer available. It's
really challenging. And so, we've had to try to adjust to those things. One of the things we did as an organization a few years ago, CHOW is a part of the Broome County Council of Churches. And one of the things they did towards the tail end of the 2010s and then in 2021 opened up a grocery store on the north side of Binghamton, which had been a historical food desert across the street from the old Kmart Plaza, which I don't know what's happening to that. We hear lots of stuff, but
as they say, stay tuned.
Stay tuned, right.
It's a big story, but it's also a slow-moving story.
Slow-developing
on the other side of West State Street.
Yep. So,
but at Canal Plaza with Greater Good Grocery Store, that's and I just spoke with someone yesterday.
Really?
Or no, it was on Tuesday, working on a completely different story, and we wound up talking about food deserts, and she specifically mentioned that grocery store and how a friend of hers who lives at the Canal Plaza Apartments was really, really pleased that option is just a few steps from where he lives.
Yeah, literally, yeah. And so that's one of the things we've tried to do, not only to keep the model of distributing food to who I call our boots on the ground, our agencies that we work with, who work with clients, but also to be innovative and think of ways in which we can bring more food to people. I mean, one of the newer projects we have on our plate that we're moving is a slowly developing process, as well as a prepared meal program that we're looking to get into, so we can, further enhance our mission to provide food for folks who need it.
Well, that's important. Tell us now about the upcoming event later this month on September 21st. As we mentioned, it's now become, say, after 4 decades, it's an established tradition now in Broome County. Tell us a bit about the Chow Walk.
Yeah, as I mentioned, all the food that we distribute is at no cost, and so that means we bear the burden of that cost, and so we have to raise money, and that's what the Chow Hunger Walk is. It's our primary fundraiser for the year, where we get together, hopefully with a bunch of people, to raise funds and raise awareness about food insecurity, as well as hopefully have a good time. And so this year we're, I mentioned COVID changing things. The walk has evolved over the years as well. As in the past, I've heard in the annals of the history there'd be multiple walks, one in Binghamton, Endicott, Johnson City, and maybe happen on different days, maybe the same day, and because it was such a big event, as time went on and more organizations did walks and 5Ks, the effectiveness of that particular part of it became less and less. And so we looked at the ways to how to improve it. And of course, COVID shut all those things down, so we kind of went online, and then we decided once things could open up, let's do something different. So we looked at the Oakdale Mall and now the Oakdale Commons, and thought, let's try something indoor and make it not just the walk be primary, but that be a part of it, as well as some fun family things.
How many people do you think will participate in this year's Chow Hunger Walk?
So last year we had over 200 walkers. We're hoping to grow that. And by expanding the time from 12 to 4, we're hoping that it enables people to come and go as they please. In the past, the walk was at a set time, and it kind of ended when the walk was done, and that was that. So we're anticipating a few hundred people, and the more the merrier. We're doing something a little bit different, where we've invited our partner agencies, the ones we give food to play a bigger part in the walk. And so during the walk, they'll have tables set up to kind of highlight and showcase the work they do. I mentioned earlier, they are the boots on the ground. They're the ones who are actually working with clients. And so we're hoping that as people can come to the mall, they come to support them, come to support us, and see the good work that they are doing.
If people want more information, obviously we've given a good overview, but if they want more information either about the Chow Hunger Walk or about the services, the programs that are provided by Chow, how can they get the information?
The best place to go to is our website, broomcouncil.net, and you can, under services there, you'll see Chow, and there you can learn about the Chow Hunger Walk. You can learn a little bit more about what Chow does. And if you are an individual looking for food, there's actually a button that you can click there, and we can begin a process to set you up. We call it a referral, where we can get you hooked up with a local pantry or meal site.
For the Hunger Walk, do people have to register in advance?
Nope. If they want to get some of the packets, we have some of the traditional fundraising packets that you have, the big envelopes, that type of thing, where you'd want to grab one of those and do your thing, get your friends and family together and start filling it with money. We have that. If they want to collect it in other ways, to put together a team, do it individually, pretty much there's a myriad of ways that people can be involved, but we really do hope that people will get involved and pitch in. $1 allows us to provide 5 meals to the community, so we can really make an impact with people's funds.
Is the need for food assistance in the Binghamton area growing much over the last few years? It has.
If you look at our internal distribution numbers from 2022 to 23, we grew by 35%. And so our previous record year, if you want to call it, was what I called the pandemic surge at the 2020. We blew that out of the water. And this year, we're already up over 20% where we were last year at this time. So when you look at the last few years, everyone's talked a lot about it. There was a lot of money put into the system in 2021. And then towards 2022, we saw the inflation hitting. Then at the beginning of 2023, we saw SNAP benefits coming back down to pre-pandemic levels. So you had a lot of topsy-turvy things happening. And, a recent USDA article I read said that food prices are up 25% from just a few years ago. So you take that all together, it makes it pretty challenging for those who are already living on the edge to make ends meet.
Feels like a perfect storm.
It does.
Well, appreciate your coming in, giving us information about the upcoming Chow Hunger Walk on September 21st. Also, thanks for more information, more of an overview, and a status report on the Chow program.
Yes, thank you for having me.
Les Aylesworth, Director of Chow here in Binghamton. Appreciate your assistance. Thank you for the weather update.
You're welcome. Yep. Glad I could help.
Okay. At least I didn't call you Dr. Les. Dr. Les with the weather.
That could have been Les Nessman.
Exactly.
Some people call me.
Yeah. Hey, we'll invite you around Thanksgiving. We'll have a special
turkey drop.
A special promotion. Can you imagine Chow? People are like, did Les Aylesworth and Bob Joseph actually think this through? Dropping turkeys? I mean, and I'm sure you would say, well, as Bob is my witness, I thought turkeys could fly.
Yes, we thought they could, yes.
You'd get a lot of national attention.
Yes.
Of course, we'd both be looking for work, but still. Anyway, I wish you well. It's 9:55. You're listening to Binghamton Now on WNBF. Coming up later today on WNBF, Dan Bongino will be on from noon to 3. Sean Hannity from 3 to 6. It's 9:58. This is Binghamton Now. We welcome back to the program Broome County Executive Jason Garner. It's good to have you back with us.
Good to be back, Bob. Good morning. Good morning, Broome County.
By the way, school is back in session, so please drive safely.
Oh, my gosh. It's crazy.
Oh, I know.
I can't believe it.
It just occurred to me. Because school is back in session, and I saw actual school buses driving actual students to actual buildings of education today. This would be an ideal time, and sorry to put you on the spot because we didn't talk about this, but the Broome County initiative involving people people getting photographed when they violate the law for not stopping for school buses when the red lights are flashing. That initiative continues, and I think actually since school is back in session, this would be a good time at least to spend a moment talking about that program. Is it continuing?
Yeah, it is continuing. It's a program that Broome is one of the first counties, and it's still one of the only few counties in the state that do this. State law permitted us to put cameras on buses that would photograph and fine people who legally passed stop school buses with the stop arm out. We've seen a lot of near misses. I think I remember seeing a video the local news did a few years ago where I think a bus driver had to pull a kid back from getting out because the car was actually passing on the right. Our system is in place. We've literally issued thousands of tickets since we've started, which I think was about 3 years ago. And I really encourage people to be very safe. Our kids are our most precious thing, and certainly don't pass any stop school buses because you put them in danger, and you're also going to get caught and fined as well. So you'll see a lot of the buses. The camera is on, I believe, the left side of the bus. So pretty much that's on all the school buses throughout Broome County.
So the program has been in place for a while. I understand it's in effect in virtually all school districts in Broome County, except for one.
Except for one. Vestal has not entered into an agreement. All of our other school districts have, but for whatever reason, they have not signed up with us. So hopefully they will, because it's a pretty big school district, and it's it'd be great to have all of our school districts do it. But like you said, everyone except Vestal does it, and I think that the schools really like it. It's a no cost to the schools. It's no cost to county taxpayers, and I think it certainly helps keep our kids safer when they're taking the school bus to and from school.
What's your sense of why so far Vestal has opted out?
I don't know. We've asked them several times. Our coordinator has reached out to them, and they have their own system. I think they have their own cameras on buses that they use. I think the only issue with those cameras is that they're not like connected to the way the state system and our system works, where people get automatic fines. I think you have to have a police officer see the infraction as it happens, and then you've got the cameras that you provide the evidence. And that was the whole reason for kind of moving to this system, in that it was difficult for law enforcement to see that, to be out there and see that happen as it happened. This system allows us to, the actual camera on the bus catches it. It is double checked by human eyes before we actually issue the ticket, but then there's this automatic process where the tickets go out, the fines go out in the mail. But I'm not sure. I mean, I think it's something, I understand and respect, their decision to do it their own way. They do have cameras on their buses. But I think that, I guess that's something you'd have to ask the people in Vestal.
But you as county executive would like Vestal to join the existing school bus stop arm program that the county currently is operating? Oh,
absolutely. I mean, it's just a really efficient system, and it's certainly more effective in my opinion in terms of being able to catch people and fine people for doing this. And like I said, every single school district in Broome County has signed up, and they're really happy with how the program's been going. So we'll see. Maybe they'll sign up next year. That'd be great.
If people are caught on camera driving past a stopped school bus with the red lights activated, how much could they be fined? Do you know what the typical ticket might be for a first offense?
So the fine is set by the state, and I think that's important for people to understand. I think the initial fine is $250. I think there's additional fines that increased. I don't know the exact amount they increased, and I do think that the state legislature actually this last session increased fines for repeat offenders. But I want to say that the initial fine is $250, and we always have people write in or call in, and they'll say they should lose their license after 30 days, or it should be $1,000 fine. And we understand that, but it's something that it's a state law, and all the fines and the whole program are set by the state. We just run the program and decide if we're going to have it in the county.
For the revenue generated by the fines, at least here in Broome County with the existing program, who gets the money?
So the way we worked it out is that we have a company that comes in and they install the cameras, they maintain the cameras, and we basically split the fine revenue with them. We don't have to pay for the cameras; they pay for everything. They pay for the maintenance, the whole system. All these cameras are connected, to the internet. The images and the video get transmitted to a central database. The fines go out, but our own security actually reviews the infractions because, cameras are great and everything like that. But then, there are, some very small instances where, maybe the camera is not right, or maybe there was a good reason why the person, had to do what they did. And so we always just put a human eye on that to see. But then there's also expenses that the county has in terms of sometimes, people can certainly contest the fines. There's a process for that. So there's an expense that our county attorney has to incur that if people do, want to go to court to contest any of the fines that they get, the county attorney then has to go out to the town court and, with all the information and do that. So there's some expenses to that. And we also provide education and outreach. What we're trying to do is reduce the amount of these infractions. So some of that fine money that we collect is also for education. So we'll have like nights at Rumble Ponies where we try to get kids to come out and their parents to come out to talk to them about the dangers of stopping past school buses and things like that.
Do many people contest the tickets that are issued in Broome County under this program? Do you know what the percentage is?
Some people do. Yeah, I don't know how many people actually contest it, but we definitely have people that do because I know I've talked to some of our attorneys who have had to go out to these courts, and like I said, I mean, this is a pretty high tech system. They take crystal clear pictures. It's not like the picture is fuzzy. It's and they also get it on video, but then it's also run through human eyes. So we get a set of human eyes on it that looks at this to make sure that that the system flagged it correctly. I don't know how many times they're successful in this, in terms of people that would go to court and contest it, because if it's on camera, there's a handful of crystal clear pictures, a really crystal clear video of the infraction. And, it's kind of hard to contest that. But that's a good question. Maybe I can get back to you on that if I can get some information to see how many are successfully.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I know it's dangerous to jump to a conclusion, but I would guess out of thousands of tickets issued over the course of a year across Broome County that there, of course, some people will contest it. A lot of people believe whether they're issued a ticket for speeding or going through a red light or whatever, they believe they're innocent, or maybe they believe there's some sort of extenuating circumstances. So that is everyone's right. But it would be interesting to know over the course, say, of the year or since the program began, what percentage of people who've chosen to contest a ticket ultimately were successful. I'm guessing, and you might know at least this, whether some people have successfully challenged some of their tickets in Broome County.
I can get that information for you. I certainly know that there are people that, there's a small percentage of people that contest the tickets. I mean, most people, they get I believe when the fine letter and the infraction letter comes out in the mail, they have a link for you to follow where you can actually see where you did it and watch the video of that. I think most people understand that. But, like I said, there's probably some times when people listen, I've been, I'm hypersensitive, right? Like not that I have ever, passed a stop school bus. I think that would be pretty crazy to just, say, hey, I'm late. I'm going to go past the school bus and put kids in danger. But, I've gotten on Susquehanna Street, going towards work to the county office building. And, there's a school bus on the side of the road, on the other side of the road, and it's stopped, but the lights aren't on. Sometimes school buses just pull over and, there's no kids on the bus, or they pull over and they're just waiting. They're not stopped. There's no, the stop arm isn't out. And then you can, you're certainly allowed to pass the school bus that is stopped, but doesn't have the stop arm out. But then as I've approached the bus, the stop arm then came out, like they turned it on, they put it out, and you're going through a light and you got people behind you. And, there can be some situations where it's not so black and white. And that's why we always put, we always want to set a human eyes on that, to check out for those types of situations. But, I can certainly get information on how many people have, successfully have appealed it, or, then successfully been able to appeal that.
What's the company that's providing the school bus cameras for the Broome County program?
I think it's Vera Mobility.
Yeah, that's my recollection. So I understand they're one of the larger providers, not the only. There are other companies, but I believe Vera Mobility is one of the bigger providers. There was a court case that got my attention late last year where a judge, appellate division judge here in New York State, did dismiss a ticket of a driver, a man on Long Island.
I think in Nassau or
Suffolk County. Yeah. And he's an attorney who represented himself. He argued that the stills and the videos of his car failed to prove that the bus his car passed was a properly marked school bus, or that it was loading or unloading students at the time that he passed. So that was a case that involved equipment provided by another company. But I know when the ruling came out, I'm sure it got the attention of you and other people here in Broome County about the possible impact, the legal impact of that ruling here in New York State.
Yeah, I mean, we can, it certainly allows us to still, continue with the program as is. But again, I think that's the reason why we, want to get human eyes on this as well, and make sure, we have a whole process set in place for those types of things that could potentially happen. But no, we're really happy with the system. We're really happy we have that. And it's my hope is over the next few years, the number of infractions are reduced. One last thing I'll say about this is that we are able to determine through the software that there's certainly a lot of places where I guess you could call them hotspots where these infractions occur. Certainly they're scattered throughout the county, but we have been able to identify some hotspots, and it's my understanding we've been able to reach out to with local officials and maybe provide, kind of look at how the signage on the road is, or talk to the schools about where the buses are stopping and things like that, to just kind of provide that information. Sometimes, just by adding a little bit of signage or some education to people in that particular area, you can raise awareness and reduce those numbers of infractions at these hotspots. So the software and the whole piece of technology, the system has been helpful with that as well.
Notably, the state legislature a few months ago did adopt new language affecting school bus cameras in response to the court ruling last year, and it appears the new language in state law is going to strengthen the use of the evidence, the photographs, still photographs or video provided by these devices. So the legislature did respond, and we'll see, obviously, going forward. There could be, always is a possibility of additional legal challenges, but it appears that lawmakers did change the law to suggest that it's going to be a presumption that the photos or videos provided by these school bus cameras will be sufficient evidence. So the law has been adjusted. One thing that I find interesting, looking at the numbers of violations here in Broome County, is they continue. Even in the summer, according to the county website, even in July, there were 55 school bus stop arm violations.
Yeah. Well, some kids go to summer school,
right,
unfortunately. So,
yes.
Yeah, it's of course that number is, in the summertime, it's, not the numbers you see in like October or November.
Or even like June, the previous month, before school, before regular school classes wrapped up, the month of June, nearly 400 violations were recorded, 379. And that was the highest amount in 2024. The numbers, started off at 215, then they kind of spiked a bit in February, but typically between 200 and 350 violations per month have been recorded in Broome County even this year, which to me begs the question, how can we still have several hundred people over the course of, say, the first half of a year violating the law when this program has been very well publicized?
If you have an answer to that question, I'd love to have it, because first of all, I don't, again, like I said, there may be some instances where, people, have good reasons to do what they do, but like the vast majority, like if you're just sitting there and you're like late to work, and you see a stopped school bus and kids are getting on it, and you just decide you're going to pass it because you're late and just, willingly put kids in danger. I don't know why anybody would make that decision. So if you have any answers to that, that would be great, because I can't figure it out either. I remember when we were starting to think about doing this program, we did a informal poll of all the school bus drivers in Broome County, and we said, how many violations do you typically see here on your bus route? And the poll was like it came back with like thousands of violations, and we just couldn't believe it. We're just like, that can't be that many. But when we actually got the system put on all the school buses, it literally turned out to be the case. And so I don't know why people do what they do sometimes, especially passing a stopped school bus and putting kids' lives in danger.
Broome County Executive Jason Garner is our guest on Binghamton Now. We've got more county issues coming up in a moment on News Radio WNBF. More Broome County-related issues on this Thursday morning, September 5th. The IBM Endicott demolition, of course, that's not primarily a Broome County project, but it's a major project that's ultimately going to have an impact on economic development for the village of Endicott and going forward, what is still known as the Huron campus. And yet we are anxiously awaiting a final word from New York State. They apparently, the Historic Preservation Office has now all the information from the owners of the Huron campus to make a decision to allow the planned demolition to go forward. What seems to be the holdup now?
I would just say bureaucracy. So the one thing I would say is that this is definitely a Broome County project. Broome County put about $1.8 million of American Rescue Plan funds into this project.
Oh, true. That's right. Yes. Yeah. Broome County is a key component. Also, Governor Hochul announced several $1 million for this project, too. So, yes, the county and state funds will be used to help pay for the demolition.
Yep. There's about $3 million of state funds that are going into it from a Restore New York grant. I worked closely with the owners of the property to be able to get all the information they need to the state, and I have been talking to the state about the importance of moving this project forward and greenlighting this project. The last thing that we did, I want to say it was about 2 to 3 weeks ago, SHPO, after they, one of the things that they had said that they wanted the company that owns the campus to do, Phoenix, was to do a feasibility study to see if these buildings could be repurposed. So they worked with a local company, Delta Engineers, to conduct a very large-scale feasibility study. At the end of the day, these buildings, it would cost hundreds of millions of dollars to repurpose these buildings. It would not be financially feasible. And that ultimately, I mean, it's a very long study, but that's basically what the summary of the study was. That was sent to SHPO a couple weeks ago. I am really hopeful that, within the next week or two, they will have read that study, understand that, the path forward over there is not to throw $300 million or whatever into repurposing these buildings, but it is to demolish the buildings that are already condemned and be able to develop a shovel-ready site for a development that really is poised to come in to that site there.
Well, apparently one of the people in charge there of the State Historic Preservation Office or Division said August 14th they finally received the required alternatives analysis, and so we will review to determine completeness and then seek to close out our review. But again, I don't know. There was no indication that, we'll let you know by the end of the year or maybe in the next 6 months. It seems... I mean, I would assume that they understand this ought to be a priority for Endicott and Broome County. They
do. And, I've spoken to the governor's office, and they understand this is a priority. I mean, the governor's office was, through ESD, was the entity that had put in, had approved the $3 million in state funding, and the governor's office knows. I mean, our American Rescue Plan funding of close to $2 million. It's a time sensitive. Those monies are time sensitive. We have until the end of the year to allocate those monies. And, I can tell you without, that funding that is not going to happen, that the demolition will not happen without either the state funding or the county funding. So, I really do believe that SHPO will approve this because once they review all the documents, and I do believe it will be a timely review. Now, it probably won't be a timely review on the way I want the timeline to be because I want this thing to be down by now. But I would say that I believe that we should be able to see some, positive decision made within the next week or two, because it doesn't take a long time to read that feasibility report, and it's pretty black and white as to the basic impossibility of being able to repurpose those buildings being in the state that they are in now.
How long is the demolition likely to last? Because Gorick has been busy, or had been busy in recent weeks, doing a lot of the preliminary work, putting up the fencing, removing some of the trees or vegetation next to the buildings, and basically doing everything they could to get the site ready for actual demolition. So is it something that could actually start maybe this fall and be completed by the end of the year?
My understanding is that once it's approved, it'll basically start the next day. And it's a 4-month demolition. And the other reason why I say this is an important county project is because all this is going into the county landfill. And this is a substantial demolition. I can't think, maybe the old BAE site in Westover was maybe the same amount. This is probably one of the most substantial demolitions of infrastructure that we've seen in Broome County history. My understanding is they're doing everything they can to recycle parts, but a substantial amount of this is going to end up in the Broome County landfill. And we have kind of a schedule and ways that we can put this in the landfill that minimize as best we can the impact on the landfill. So, I mean, it's a large operation. There's a lot of moving parts here. The most important part, of course, right now is just getting that authorization from the State Historical Preservation, SHPO, to move forward with the project.
Is the county waiving the fees to bring all this stuff to the landfill?
Nope.
So regular fees will apply for that demolition debris.
That's correct.
It's 10:40 at WNBF. Anything else you wanted to add about that?
No. I just I hope it happens today. I'd love to be out, see the see the things start to get demolished, because I think there's so much potential at that site, but without that whole building group coming down, you can't tap into the potential of it. So I really, really do hope that it happens, that we get news on it very soon.
1041 at WNBF. Heading over to the east, another former IBM property in the town of Union, Watson Boulevard. We still have been awaiting updates on what was supposed to be an apartment complex at the site of the former IBM Country Club, but now that seems to be somewhat up in the air as far as whether that project would be developed, which of course it was contingent on state financing, or whether there's a possibility of something else that could be considered at that site.
A couple things on that. One is that we teamed up with the town of Union to use American Rescue Plan to demolish that site because it was a tremendous eyesore. The agency had bought the property. There was an RFP done. Conifer Development, along with teaming up with the Chase Construction, had put in an offer on the property to develop it into beautiful affordable housing complex. They put an application in for state funding in the latest round for a substantial amount of money. They did not get approved in that first round, which is typically not is something that typically happens a lot, right? Sometimes you have to take a bite of the apple 2 or 3 times before you get the state funding. Last time I talked to Stacey Duncan at the agency, we're awaiting word from Conifer as to whether they're going to apply for this next round of funding, which I think the application deadline is coming up pretty soon. Their option to buy the property runs out at the end of the year. And then, they decide then to not apply for state funding and the option runs out, then, we'll have to, sit down with the agency and figure out where we want to go from there with the property. The most important thing is, though, it's one huge eyesore that doesn't exist anymore in Broome County, but I think that there's a lot of potential in the property as well, especially now that there's nothing there. And, whether it's housing or something else, I think that there certainly is a lot of potential, but I think we're going to have to see first what Conifer decides to do in terms of if they want to move forward with putting another application in for funding for housing there.
Well, some have suggested that, in fact, although there's been at least initial support from the county and other local officials for the apartment complex, that perhaps there might be a better and more appropriate use for that property. What's your sense? Could there be a better potential use for the former country club site?
Well, I think a lot of people, listen, it's the nature of things, right? A lot of people have great ideas on what could happen, unless you can get somebody to actually say, I want to go ahead and do it, right? Those are just certainly ideas. this was the housing proposal was, that was a very well thought out, planned, strategic proposal. They just didn't get the funding they needed from the state to be able to do that the first round. I think if they decide not to apply for this next round, I think there are a lot of other opportunities for that site. We did have interest in it when RFPs went out, and we'll see what happens. I think there'll be more interest now that nothing's there. I think it was hard for people to imagine what you could do there when this huge dilapidated building sat there, but now that it's been cleared, I think people will have a lot of other ideas on what they want to do. So I guess it's kind of like wait and see. We'll wait and see what happens at the end of the year.
But you're not desperately clinging to housing necessarily being there. If this particular idea doesn't go forward, that the county would essentially say, yeah, we want other ideas and they better be housing. But the county would be open or receptive to other options if this plan by Conifer does not go forward.
Yeah. So listen, I think housing is incredibly important to build out more in this community, whether it's, apartments and all different types or single family homes. But at the end of the day, they don't go forward with this particular housing project. I'm open to a variety of different projects, housing or not housing or otherwise, at that site. Definitely.
It's 10:45. Speaking of housing, and this comes up, it seems, almost every month when we speak with you, there is a housing component for the Veteran Services Center that is now well under construction on Binghamton's north side. What's the latest on the component, I believe 10 tiny houses that would be part of this project? Has the state finally settled on the necessary guidelines so the tiny houses, that part of the project and design can move forward?
Oh, that's all moving forward. We're building the main part of the site first. I don't know if you've been by it, but they're really going to town on it. They're putting up the framing for the interior walls. They're prepping for the roof to be put up on the main building. And then later on, we'll have the tiny houses built up on the property. We're pretty close to getting a housing provider. I would say, by the end of the year, we'll have retained a housing provider to, that will administer the housing component of that. But we expect everything to be up and running by, I think, July of next year. So we have a very aggressive schedule to get everything up there. But the construction schedule is right on target.
It's 10:47 at WNBF. Speaking with Broome County Executive Jason Garner. More coming up on Binghamton Now. Attentions to Greater Binghamton Airport. Well, there's been a schedule change with the Delta service out of the Binghamton Airport. I think there's a hope for maybe an adjustment. One listener said apparently they are making a change in departure times, and he says it's a terrible change that, in his opinion, now restricts available connections and makes it tough for people to book a ticket for most places unless they do some sort of a multi-ticket search. Are you aware of concerns about the schedule adjustments from Delta?
I haven't heard anything about that. I'd have to talk to Mark Kiefner about that, our commissioner, and see if that's accurate or not.
Are there any new developments? Obviously, everybody is interested with additional service, whether it can be provided by Delta or some carrier similar to Avelo. What can you tell us about any hope for new or expanded service at the airport?
We certainly have had some really productive conversations with major carriers. We haven't, signed any, agreements or anything like that. But, on the, I think some of the major carriers recognize that, getting a major hub, we have the need for that. It's just really kind of fitting into the schedule. In terms of replacing the Avelo service that we had, we're taking the numbers that we had, which were really good numbers. We're really filling up those seats in the airplane going to Orlando. And we're getting really good feedback from some of the low-cost discount carriers on the numbers. And again, these, when you lose service, it takes, a good year and a half to even replace it. Because certainly we weren't looking at Orlando service when we had Avello because we already had it. So, now we're back to the drawing board. But we have really good numbers to support, what we're doing, and our conversations with those low-cost carriers are really productive and positive. They like the numbers they've seen. So more to come on that.
Of course, Avello, I believe their final flight to Orlando was August 18th.
Yep.
Any idea? I heard that the August flights were pretty heavily used. I didn't hear the actual figures, but from what I heard, even though it was summertime and wouldn't necessarily think there'd be a whole lot of people wanting to go from the Binghamton area to Orlando or vice versa, it appeared from what I heard in the final flights, the numbers were still fairly high.
They've always been high. And that's the real, tough thing about it was that, I think they're making decisions. I think the decision they made wasn't an indication on our ability to fill the plane. It was more on, where they want to go in the future in terms of their destinations. Like I said, we had great numbers that flight. We marketed it really well. There's a huge interest in this area and in that. And, we're taking that to all the other discount carriers with, that information. And the conversations have been pretty positive.
When we spoke a month ago, I brought this up because of a listener sending an email, what she received from Avello, the email that said, after she requested a refund of a voucher that she thought she couldn't use out of Broome County, said Binghamton to Orlando service will return spring 2025. And I know when I mentioned that to you, that came as news to you. Yeah,
and I think I have to double check, but I think we had connected with her to see if, first of all, that is the first, like I said before, it's the first that we've heard of that. I'm pretty sure that whoever said that on the phone was inaccurate.
Yeah, it was an email. She sent me a copy of the email.
Yeah.
Okay, and I know also, I think the following day or a couple days later, I spoke with Aviation Commissioner Mark Kiefner, and it was also nothing he had heard of. So it did come. Of course, as they say in the news business, I reached out to a couple of key people at Avello to ask them about this, and they never acknowledged my request. So I surmised that the service wasn't going to return in spring, but I never found out for sure from the airline officially.
Yeah, it would be the first that we've heard about that. Let's put it that way.
And by the way, that woman within the last few days did get back to me, and she has received a full refund from Avello. So
that's good.
Yeah,
I knew I talked to Commissioner Heifter, and they were working with her to be able to get that to happen. So I'm glad that she was able to get the refund.
As far as the work on the renovation project, it's been a few weeks since I've been up at the airport. Actually, it's been several weeks. I haven't been there since the air show. What's the status report on the construction work at the airport in the town of Maine?
Project's going great. It's on schedule, on time. We're really happy about it. And again, it should be completely done by sometime in the middle of next year. So we're really, really, really happy about that.
One other thing that happened, I believe, since the last time you were on was the announcement of another phase of work at Oakdale Commons in Johnson City. And we only have a short time here at the end of our segment, but certainly there's a housing component, child care component, and additional health care as that revitalization project is moving forward in Johnson City.
Amazing news to hear. I mean, this is well over $100 million of work that's going to be done. 125 unit housing complex that's going to happen right behind Beer Tree. A daycare center, 200 slot daycare center, and Guthrie's expanding as well. So the small that I think 5 years ago everybody wrote off for dead is really coming back. And just talked to the owners of the mall, and there's a couple of additional announcements that they're going to make on the private sector side that I think are going to make people I know will make people really happy as well. It's really great to see what's happened to our mall right here in Broome County when you see so many malls across the country shutting down. This one is running on steroids. It's great to see.
And yet still no Chick-fil-A.
Stay tuned, Bob.
That's what I tell people. You know what I say, Mr. Garner? Keep hope alive when it comes to Chick-fil-A. Do not despair, people.
Do not despair. It will happen.
Thank you for your time. Hope you have a good afternoon.
Absolutely. You too. Take care, Bob.
Thanks. Broome County Executive Jason Garner. Man, I could go for a chicken sandwich, especially on a Sunday. Well, the show is now going officially to the dogs, we can say, as we talk about another local event, which is, it's a tradition now, more than 2 decades. Crystal Sackett, thank you for coming in to tell us about the very special event now known as All Paws for a Cause, sponsored by the YWCA of Binghamton and Broome County. Thank you for being back with us.
Thank you for having me. This is wonderful.
So tell our listeners a little background about the event. You've been involved in helping to organize and publicize the event now for several years, but it's been going on for a long time.
Yeah. 23 years, believe it or not. This is our 23rd annual.
Doesn't seem possible.
No, it goes very quick. Out of those 23, I've been here for 18, so time goes very fast.
It flies when you're having fun. Tell us about the basic concept of this event, how it sort of has evolved over the years and actually has expanded to include additional features and some even new things for this year's event.
Yeah, absolutely. So many things are going on. So let's start with where the money's going, right? What are we raising money for? We're raising money for YWCA's Encore Plus program. It's a breast and cervical outreach program. We're educating the community why it's important to be screened, and we break down any barriers for women. And so we pay for transportation and childcare. We work with the Cancer Services program to assist women who have no insurance to pay for the screening. So there's no excuse for any woman not to getting those annual screenings for breast cancer. So that's where 100% of the money goes to local women in our community to help them get to and from their cancer screenings. So like I said, Encore Plus is very busy. We serve over 5,000 women a year, and we educate around 12,000 women a year on breast cancer.
So it's a lot of interaction with people in the Triple Cities area.
Absolutely. Yep. So this event is going to be extremely fun. We've added a few more things. So not only do we have vendors, we have raffles, the basic things that happen at events, but it's all about the pet. So we are going to have doggy contest. We have a look-alike, the hairiest dog, the highest jump, the biggest bark, smallest and biggest, and we have a talent show. But majority of the people come out because they want to put their dog in a costume and have a costume parade and all of these have prizes, which is wonderful.
And it's nice to see so many happy people and happy puppies.
Absolutely. I think the dogs have more fun than the people, but
well, it's a great event for socializing. Some dogs don't get out much, and,
right.
and to have an opportunity for them to perhaps meet some new friends or maybe see some friends they hadn't seen since last year.
Yep. And we have a couple really fun new things this year. We're going to do a treat crawl. So better than a bar crawl, we're doing a treat crawl. So all your puppies and dogs and fur babies can go to different locations and try different treats from different companies that has dog food or dog treats. And that is all possible from our sponsor, Creature Comfort. They organized all of our contests. They organized the treat crawl, which is very exciting. The Lord's Mission in Motion will be there, so women can actually go and get their mammogram. So if you need a mammogram, they're taking in walk-ins. So we love for you to come and do that as well. We're doing canine art, so your puppy can do art. Do some painting. Wilson's Mobile Grooming is going to do free nail clipping for the dogs as well. So there's going to be face painting for kids. the Humane Society be there. So if you don't have a dog, you can still come to the event and walk one of the adopted dogs. Trust me, you probably will go home with one.
I understand that a lot of dogs are already registered for the event that's coming up on September 15th.
Yes, we have almost 60 dogs pre-registered. And what's great about that is you get an amazing swag bag. But if you're a VID, which is people who pledge, we want you people to pledge, right? The higher pledge. The highest pledge gets not only to be our 2025 spokes dog, but you're walking away with some fabulous prizes for the dog owner and the puppy. So yeah, we're quite excited about being able to have swag bags that were all donated from the community, which is wonderful.
That's great. Now, if people want to pre-register for the event coming up later this month, how can they do that?
Just go to our website, go to ywca.binghamton.org, go under events, you'll see a big dog walk poster. Click on that, and you can go ahead and register right through there. You can come to the event and register. It's $5 more. But once again, 100% of this proceeds go to local women fighting breast cancer prevention. There's
also a provision if you want to bring more than one dog, you can register 2 or more dogs for the event if you wish.
Exactly. You can bring a whole slew of them. We're fine with that.
A team of dogs.
A team of dogs. Absolutely. Walk a team of dogs.
Wow.
Yeah.
Anything else you wanted to add about the event?
Well, we're going to have Susquehanna Kennel Club doing demonstrations on agility, so you can see how good your dog is good at going through a hoop and jumping through, all the different obedience things that they have going on. And like I said, this event is really focused on letting your dog have a fun day and enjoying the outside and at the park. We're at Otsiningo Park, and we're going to be the first pavilion as you walk into Otsiningo Park, and the whole field's behind it, just filled with tons of activities for your dog. So we would love for you to get out there, pledge, raise some money for Encore Plus to help break down those barriers and have a great time doing it.
And again, that'll be from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Sunday, September 15th.
Otsiningo Park.
And the website, if people would like to register or get more information.
ywcabinghamton.org.
Crystal Sackett, thank you for being with us. And I know the pups are going to have a good time. And certainly their proud friends who bring them to the event will have a good time as well.
Absolutely. We always do. Thank you.
Thank you. It's 11:18. We're live and local, serving the community as only WNBF can do. We've been doing this for nearly a century. 92.1 FM, 1290 AM, and streaming at WNBF.com. Let's go to the phones. Dave from Binghamton. Good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, Bob. I was hoping, I sent an email and I was hoping the county exec would have been able to answer, but with the airport, they're changing the flight the departure time and the arrival time.
Okay, that's Delta. And has that change taken effect yet, or is it going to take effect soon?
Pretty much in the next, I believe it's by October. I know that. I didn't look in September. But I believe when I spoke to another passenger at the airport today, he said he's flying end of September too, and it's an afternoon flight, or when they're flying back in, it's an afternoon arrival. So I believe it's already taking effect. So it's the 1 o'clock-ish is not terrible. It's not the best, but as time goes on in the new year, it's going to be 4 p.m. and that is going to be horrible. I was looking at flights, and Delta doesn't allow you to search for, it allows you to search, but it doesn't give you any results for connecting flights out of Binghamton for a lot of itineraries, because it would be an 18-hour overnight layover for some or others. So you'd have to search in a multi-city. You'd do it as a multi-city search, and then it'll give you options, including the 18-hour layovers or extended layovers. But yeah, losing a morning departure time and a late night arrival, it's not going to be good. There was the gentleman I spoke to. The gentleman I spoke to who has a flight, who couldn't book one, or has the arrival next week. He has another flight booked out of Syracuse now for the future in October, I believe, because he can't get a connecting flight out of Binghamton because of the time change.
So it sounds as though with these schedule changes that inevitably the number of people using Delta out of BGM Greater Binghamton Airport is probably going to go down. Isn't that likely based on the way the schedule is evolving?
Yep, unless they don't value their layover time. I mean, Detroit does have a hotel there, so if it's an international flight or something, maybe it could be okay. But if it's a domestic flight, there's no way. And like I was looking at Myrtle Beach, and all the flights that arrive out of Binghamton for the afternoon flights, basically either would be Binghamton to Detroit to Atlanta to Myrtle Beach, if you want to go the same day, but also you're still going to have to look up a multi-city ticket because it won't give you the two layovers, or you stay the overnight, and then you can do Binghamton to Detroit to Myrtle Beach, and that's going to be the case for a lot of them, a lot of locations.
Well, that doesn't sound good.
No, and Ithaca and Elmira both still have two flights a day, morning and afternoon. So with this change to the afternoon, if they're able to show, okay, there was quite a bit of use in the morning, that's at a flight, that would be amazing. But if anything, just moving it back to the morning, because I'm sure not that many tickets have been sold for that far out, because I was looking out in March and April and so on next year, and they're already selling tickets, and it's afternoon.
I'm wondering, and we've had conversations about airline issues on and off the air, and I've had conversations with Jason Garner on and off the air about airline issues, along with the Aviation Commissioner, Mark Kiefner. Just wondering, given the way airlines seem to be in the driver's seat right now, and smaller markets like Binghamton are essentially left to fight. And sometimes it feels like fight for the scraps. I'm just wondering, if you were the aviation commissioner or county executive, what if anything would you or could you do aside from begging or pleading with Delta to give us a break here?
Well, I think the advertising, like what they've been doing, and they were doing it up to the end of Avello, like a lot of the advertising was good, but one of the things in this area that and a lot of the elected officials seem to do too is that continually looks at, we're not what we used to be, so we've got to decline. We've got to look at this for the future, and so they are decreasing. They're decreasing the size of the airport. They're removing jetways and stuff, saying, okay, this is where we are right now, and that's what we're looking for the future. Instead of saying, okay, what do we want to be in the future? And like I said, same thing with the parking garages. They the future might be less, so let's do this. But instead of building for what we want, we seem to be doing this. So it's twofold. One is advertising, promoting the fact that, like, my flights overseas, same price as it was out of JFK, or even less than JFK, depending on when I was looking to book, out of Binghamton to go international, and able to fly back to Binghamton International previously. But again, they adjusted, and I think that's why the flight was a little more expensive on my flight. For my flight back this time is it's the change in the arrival time, so they'd have to adjust something. So I unfortunately have to fly back to JFK instead of flying back to Binghamton, because it was $2,000 more if I wanted to fly out of Binghamton for this time, when the previous time it was the same exact price or cheaper to fly from Binghamton when it was the morning departure. And so I don't know how that really affects that aspect. But yeah, advertising, because when Carl Beardsley went down to Scranton, like, the advertising was amazing. He had a calculator showing, the cost effectiveness, including, your travel time, the vehicle cost if you rent or use your own personal vehicle, to show how it could be cheaper. They've worked with American Airlines. They now have a bus to Philadelphia from the airport, so it's basically you can book out of the airport, go through TSA there, jump on a bus, and then you get down to Philadelphia and you get on the plane. So that could be, Delta doesn't do that yet. But even though Delta doesn't do that, it could be an option for American or another one if it, jump on a bus in Binghamton and go up to Albany or even down to Philadelphia might even be good. Even though it's, that way you don't have to drive yourself, and who knows how much the ticket for the bus aspect of it would be. But that's an option too, looking at another airline that provides that service in addition to Delta, and hopefully working with Delta to get it back to the morning or add a flight for the morning. And put advertising and promoting, letting people in the community know the pricing is not terrible, and it actually is it was a good value, and hopefully will be in the future.
All right. Well, I appreciate some of your insight. You as a somewhat regular air traveler, you have some better insight than I do. It's been a while since I've flown out of Binghamton Airport, although I hope to change that soon. But I do appreciate you're giving us a sense of where things stand, and also how these changes really affect people like you and others who, all things being equal, would love to be able to fly out of the Binghamton Airport.
100%. Most of us would, and hopefully we'll see you in the air.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
11:29 WNBF. We're here serving the community because the community really wants to be served by a live local radio station with real phone calls and a guy who really answers the phone instead of finding some sort of $9 software program.
Hello?
Hi, your call is important to me. You're on the air. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
Oh, my name's Peter. I'm calling from the Southern Tier Antique Tractor Club.
Oh, Peter, thank you for calling. Is this a time of year for potato harvesting?
Yes, it is. We've set a date for September 21st, and it's in our fields over in West Corners, half-mile north of Route 26 and Day Hollow Road.
Now, for listeners who may not be familiar with yet another local tradition, tell us a little bit about what has gone on for the last several years with the members of the Southern Tier Antique Tractor Club and also community volunteers that have been working on what I think is one of the best ongoing local programs to help serve people who have a need for food. Give us a little background, a little history of how this got started and how it continues even now.
Yeah, sure thing. So we're in our 16th year of doing this business, and to date we've put up 468,000 pounds of potatoes. That's roughly about 234 tons. All the potatoes go to the food bank of the Southern Tier, Chow, and various other food pantries and churches, all local in our Tioga County as well as Broome County.
And the fact is, over the years, and of course sometimes it depends on weather, sometimes the weather doesn't cooperate, but most years the weather has been cooperative enough that substantial amounts of potatoes have been harvested.
Yes. So we'll have a rain date of the 28th, which is the following week. Last year we had a really, really good year. We put up 46,000 pounds of potatoes, which was pretty much a banner year because we normally put up like about 30.
And how has the weather generally been this year? What's your sense from the observations? Will it be pretty good this year?
Yes, it's looking pretty good so far. The season's been a little wet, so we had some areas that'll be not so good in the field, but there'll be other areas in the field that are produced without any issues whatsoever. And we expect that we'll probably have a really good harvest. Also, the local volunteers in the community, schools, for instance, like Catholic Central up in Binghamton, their kids have to do like a community service, so they wind up sending a whole bunch of kids down. Scouts, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, neighbors, people just driving by. It's pretty much a community input.
And I know that's been important from over the years. When we spoke with Jim Baker, he was always very, very pleased that students, young people, whether it was related directly with their school or sometimes just with their parents or grandparents, had an opportunity to participate in the annual potato harvest.
Yeah, and the funny thing about it is that a lot of kids don't realize that the potatoes grow in the ground, and when you pull up some potatoes, there they are.
Yeah, some kids, I think, believe potatoes are made in the back room at Wegmans in Johnson City, and until they actually go out to a field and do a little digging and get their hands dirty, it's like, oh, so that's how potatoes are made.
And to make it clear about the volunteers don't have to do actual digging. We have a digging machine that will bring up all the...
That's right. Actually, that's one of the nice things about the Antique Tractor Club being able to be part of this. I mean, the digging of the rows actually happens, and row by row by row, the potatoes are harvested. So, yeah, the one thing I point out, because I've done this a couple of times in the past, it teaches you actually the value of some hard work, because you would think, oh, just putting some gloves on and getting down at the ground level, that's easy and fun. Well, after you get a certain age, it can be a little tiring. It's especially on a warmer day. I mean, it gives you an appreciation for actually doing some work, and then at the end of the row, when you see how many potatoes you've harvested, and then put them in the big containers so they can be eventually hauled away by the truck, that this is an effort that really pays off.
Yeah, it's pretty good stuff. So the Tractor Club also, like Jim Baker, he passed away this past year, and Phil Card, he was also one of the original plank holders of the club. He also passed away. They had the foresight, whatever you want to call it, that we're an organization that have a bunch of antique equipment, and we wanted to grow food with the antique equipment so that we could actually be doing something that would show off how farming was done at one time, as well as working with the community.
Well, we certainly missed Jim Card or Phil Card and Jim Baker. Yeah. I mean, they were so involved not only with the club but also with this potato growing effort, including obviously the potatoes don't plant themselves. So in the spring, that's the other part. I mean, if people didn't actually do some work, say a few months ago, there wouldn't be these potatoes to harvest this month.
Yes, and we are fortunate that the Cornell University, their potato program, they give us all the potato seed that we can ask for, actually.
Yeah, that's great. Now, Peter, again, when will the initial date be for the harvest, the potato harvest this year?
It'll be Saturday, September 21st. We usually start anywhere between 8 and 9 o'clock. And because we usually have a great turnout of at least 100 people, by 1 o'clock we're usually finished. So it'll be located on Route 26, just about a half mile north of where the intersection of Route 26 and Day Hollow Road, just up the road from Phil's Chicken House.
So if you're heading from Endicott, it's on the right side.
That's correct, yep. And if you're coming down from Maine, it's on the left-hand side.
Peter, thank you for the call. I'd been hoping to hear from somebody with the Southern Tier Antique Tractor Club right about now, and certainly feel free to call in again before September 21st if you'd like to provide a reminder.
Yeah, I'll do that, and course, I'll probably be in Alaska at that particular time, but I'm pretty sure I can still get through.
Yeah, you know the number, and if for some reason you can't get through or whatever, just send an email to bob@WNBF.com, and I'll try to remember to give people an update as we get closer to the day on September 21st.
Now, I've got a little clip that shows the potato digger digging up the potatoes. Is that something I can also send you in that email?
Please do. Yeah. Send me whatever you have. I'm looking over the years. I've done a few stories of my own. I don't know if I see several pictures that I have, even going back to, I don't know if it's 2016 or whatever. So I've been basically occasionally, not every year, but occasionally providing updates about this. So if you have whatever that could enhance a story for our website, just send it to me, bob@WNBF.com.
Sweet.
All right?
Yep. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Peter. 1129 WNBF, your community radio station, 607-772-1290. See what happens. You call into the program. A real person answers, and real information is conveyed. 92.1 FM, 1290 AM, streaming at WNBF.com. It's 11:40 Thursday morning. Well, for the Stick to the Issues crowd, here's an opportunity for you to call in and stick to the issues. 607-772-1290. Issues and answers. From Binghamton now. Good morning, you're on the air. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, Bob. How you doing today?
Great. How are you?
Oh, I had a little excitement yesterday.
Do tell.
Well, what happened was I was sitting in the living room here, and all of a sudden I heard a noise. So I got up and I looked, and I didn't see anything. I thought the pipes blew up in the bathroom. So I come back to the chair, and I heard it again. I thought, no, wait a minute, there's got to be something wrong. So I called 911, and they come and they check the pipes and everything. Come to find out, it's funny now, but it wasn't. The washer slid off the skid.
Oh!
That caused a noise.
Oh, that will make a noise.
Oh, my God, I'm telling you, you've never seen anybody. My heart was pounding. But it worked out. It wasn't the pipes.
All right. Well, I'm glad it didn't turn out to be like anything like a code one disaster, but it had to be disturbing at the time.
The washer wasn't even being used.
Yikes!
It just slid off, and that's the noise that I heard.
Oh my gosh, that's what a crazy world we live in. Am I right?
And I said to the fireman, I said, I never heard of such a thing. He said, ma'am, he said, that's what it was.
Oh.
And I would have sworn the pipes burst.
I gotta tell you, here's what I think my mom used to say this: if it ain't one thing, it's another.
Yeah, but I was sitting here all by myself, and I would have sworn the pipes burst.
Oh.
But it wasn't that. It was the washer slid off the skid.
So the fire department showed up.
Yep.
All right, and they assessed the situation quickly, and then said basically it'll be okay. You don't really have anything to worry about. And
I had 3 firemen, and of course the state police had to come and take a report because they thought it was an explosion.
Well, thank goodness it wasn't, because these days you never know.
And I had to stand out in the yard. Of course, my neighbor saw me. He goes, "What are you doing out here?" I said, "Oh, something's wrong in the house."
All right. Well, I'm glad that you solved the mystery, because I'm sure some people might have been driving by or whatever, looking out their window saying, "Gee, I hope everything's okay."
Yeah, but everything worked out fine, and my grandson, he stopped by today.
Oh my gosh! So what time did that all happen? Was that after the program?
It happened last night. I don't know, about 7:00.
Oh, okay. So at least it didn't happen. It didn't detract from yesterday's program. I mean, it would have been worse. It's bad enough it happens at any time, but it's worse when it would happen, say, during this program, and then you might miss a minute of the program.
You know, but I was really scared. I thought, geez, it sounds like an explosion. And I told them I didn't know what it was. And they said, can you go outside? I said, yes. Well,
that's what you have to do. It's always better to take the necessary precautions just in case.
Yeah, well, it turned out that's what it was.
All right, Beverly. Thank you for letting me know.
Okay, bye.
Thank you. It's 11:45 at WNBF. Good morning. You're on the air. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning, Bob. Jesse from Owego. I get a big kick out of Beverly's situation. Believe me, I have seen stranger things. But yesterday was a good time. I called up Carol's Coffee. I said, can I order an egg salad sandwich? Says I'm not in a really best of mood, so I don't want to come in. So could you deliver it out the back door? And she said, sure, I can do that. And I waited for a while. I finally said, let's just go in the front door. So no sooner did I walk in the front door, she's walking out the back door. So I'm chasing my egg salad sandwich. And it was just the funniest thing on the planet.
Oh, really?
She's yelling out. Yeah, she's yelling out, Jesse! And people are telling me, Jesse, people are yelling out your name. I go, I know. I'm trying to get my sandwich.
So I'm looking. Let's see. Egg salad on whole wheat with mayo, lettuce, and tomato.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. It is excellent.
Or you could always get her BLT with bacon, baby greens, and tomato on toasted sourdough bread with mayo. You could get that, too.
Yep. As long as you say, honey, I'm home. As long as you say, honey, I'm home and I love you, I'll tell you what, that's the best place on planet Earth. My opinion.
Well, I was there a few weeks ago and I got, I think it was the Raphael. It says turkey wrap with bacon, Swiss cheese, avocado, lettuce, tomato, and ranch. That's what I think I had the last time I was there.
The avocado.
Now I'm hungry.
Well, yeah, Chick-fil-A, right?
Yep. Hey, thanks for the update from Owego. You keep an eye on things, and you watch out because something's going to happen.
Tell me about it.
Jesse, mark my words. Something is going to happen in Owego, so you heard it here first.
Okay, I will be around.
Yeah. People say, Bob mentioned. 11:47 at WNBF, the information station. For your information, we've got your information right here, buddy. Sunny today, 77. This is according to the National Weather Service. This isn't something from some kid walking down Court Street. This is weather by trained professionals. Yes, today sunny, 77. Tonight clear, 54. Patchy fog tomorrow morning. Otherwise, mostly sunny tomorrow, 77. And your official weekend forecast for those who live for the weekend. Saturday, showers and some thunderstorms possible in the afternoon, 69. And lovely on Sunday, mostly sunny with a high of 65. And right now, the temperature would appear to be 64-ish. Been having trouble with the mercury in our thermometer. If you don't change your mercury every 3,000 miles, it's going to start getting goofy on you, and then you're going to be left in the lurch. You're saying, well, what is it? Is it 63 or 65? Well, 64-ish. Always check the mercury level in your thermometer. You'll be glad you did. Let's see. Oh, I know. Everybody says, Bob, what's the deal with the gas prices? Well, thanks for asking. Let me look up the latest. In fact, I should have mentioned to Beverly from the town of Dickinson. I was in her neighborhood just about 2 hours ago. Well, okay, about 3 hours ago, because not far from her, they have this cheap gas. I don't know how they do it. They have some sort of gas war going on near her house. So I drove by, well, not actually by her house, but around her neighborhood. And then I went up to the place that sells cheap gas, and I said, Joe sent me, and they gave me another 10-cent discount. So let's see, what are the gas prices? These are official gas prices from the AAA. Broome County, the average gas price today is $3.44.9. Tioga County, the gas prices on average are $3.43. Chenango County, the average price is $3.38. But thankfully, you don't live in Delaware County because the gas prices there on average are $3.64. So, if you want. Schuyler County is pretty cheap. All right. So anyway, for the people, for some reason, they think that you can gauge how well things are going just by gas prices. So if that's how you live your life, well, think about this. Gas prices now in Binghamton are about 50 cents a gallon lower than they were a year ago. And again, if you go to that one place there where they already have cheap gas and you say, Joe sent me, they might knock off another 10 or 20 cents between now and November 5th. So, in my view, all is good. Remember when gas prices were really high? It says here in the Binghamton market, gas prices peaked. The highest gas price on average in Binghamton was about 2 years ago, June of 2022. Some gas prices were almost $5 a gallon. And now, I just went to a place where it was around $3.33 a gallon, so I'm not sure what people are griping about. Well, I want cheaper gas. Well, if it gets much cheaper, because I remember, I don't have the exact date, but I think the last time I paid $1.85 a gallon for gas was during the big recession. So if you want really, really, really low gas prices, then they'll probably happen, but it probably will be in the middle of a big recession. So be careful what you wish for. Well, I think they should lower the prices further. Yeah, well, I think they should lower the price of cable TV, too. I think they should lower the price of tickets to Disney World. Why are people laser focused on the price of gas when if you look historically, the prices of gasoline, again, historically, taking inflation into account, can you imagine if gas prices were indexed to your cable bill, or if gas prices were indexed to how much your newspaper costs? Yeah, you'd be paying a lot more than $3.33 a gallon. It's 11:53 here at News Radio WNBF. Yeah, let's take a call. See if we have anybody calling in from the Stick to the Issues crowd. Hi, you're on the air. What's your first name? Where are you calling from?
I'm Tom from Susquehanna. Am I banned?
No. You've never.
Am I banned?
No, you've never really been banned. You were suspended for a couple of hours, but that was a brief suspension. You're never going to be banned.
Oh, I just thought I'd give a call. I tried.
Yeah.
I want to talk, Tom, about the gas.
Yeah, tell me about it.
I mean, why do you try to keep telling us that gas is cheap? Do you understand that as soon as if Trump gets in, gas prices are going to fall. It's just a question of supply and demand. I mean, Kamala wants, electric vehicles. Everything in that administration is this Green New Deal. I mean, I don't understand why you constantly try to tell us this crap.
It's just the honest observation historically. When you take inflation into account, gasoline in September 2024 is one of your best deals ever.
Yeah. Bob, don't even talk about inflation. Now, wait a minute. Let me let you talk. Okay. Yeah, Bob, I don't talk about inflation. I mean, have you been to the store lately? I know you have because...
Sure, I go to the store usually. I go to pick up groceries usually 2 or 3 times a week. I don't usually shop like just once a week like normal people. I usually shop 2 or 3 times a week to get stuff when it's factory fresh.
Yep, that's what I do too. You know what? Yesterday I went up to Wegmans. Do you know what the Portuguese rolls are? Guess how much they are a piece?
I don't know, $7?
What? No, a piece. A piece.
Okay, $17.
No, they're $1 a piece.
All right, so I said $7. They're only $1. So I could go there today, and instead of getting one Portuguese roll for $7, I can get 7.
Yeah, because, Bobby, would you pay $17 for Portuguese rolls?
Yes, I would, if they were good. Oh. You got to pay for quality.
Yeah, they're good. Yeah, I know where you can get better. Well, I don't know now because I haven't been down in the city and I haven't been around. But I know Wegmans has got everything, you know. And
yeah, but I want to know where you can get a good bagel. You can't get a good bagel these days. You can't get a good Queen's bagel around here.
Well, I'll tell you the truth. I looked at Wegmans bagels. They didn't look too bad. I wasn't looking at prices because they had sticker shots.
Well, I get bagels from Wegmans, and I'm not saying they're bad. I'm just saying they're not the same quality as you would get in Queens. I'm not denigrating the work that the fine bagel artisans at Wegmans do. They do great work, but it's Johnson City bagels. They're excellent. I'm saying, show me a place in Broome County where I can get a bagel that I could get in Queens.
It does not exist, Bobby. And the reason why they say is because of the water, which I don't believe. I don't know.
I don't know. I think there's some merit to that. I've heard from some people that being suggested that whatever it is, and I don't know what it could be about the Broome County water versus the water from the New York City public water supply, which ironically they get from places like Delaware County. But yes, there's a certain something about New York City public water that might make for a better bagel.
I don't think it's the water. I mean, I got a well down here, Bobby. My well comes out so crystal clear that we had some outages, so I filled up the tub just in case we lose power. And the cat is looking in the tub, and he doesn't know that the tub is filled with water. I says, Chester, don't jump. And he jumps into the tank, jumps into the bathtub. That's how clear, if you have clear water, right? Wouldn't that be a basic?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Listen, let me just get back to my question. Why do you keep pushing these low gas prices? This is not low gas prices, Bobby.
Well, it's all in the eye of the beholder. I'm happy with the gas prices.
How can you be happy with the prices?
Because
did you get a raise that matched?
Because
did you get a 20% raise this year?
Of course not. Of course not. I work in radio. Hey, I got to run. Show's over, but thanks for calling in. I hope you call in later in the week.
I will.
All right, that's our program, kids. Have a great afternoon.